is UNLV Arts Worldwide, and we are here today for our episode number 12, which is The Business of the Arts. And this is our Dean Nancy Uscher. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Lewis. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Excited to be talking about art and business.
You know, we always have the pre-episode conversations where we look through some interesting resources and books, and we I think get very inspired by the title of our episodes, each one, focusing on a different aspect of the arts. And today's episode, which has some really great guests, exploring business of the arts, brought to mind skill acquisition of our young artists who are very specialized and need to be, but also, really benefit from looking at what life will be in a very broad and exciting way. And may I share a quote with you and our audience in looking at a really interesting book called Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World by David Epstein. I came across a quote that I'd like to share. He writes, "One good tool is rarely enough in a complex, interconnected, rapidly changing world." As a historian and philosopher, Arnold Toynbee said when he described analyzing the world in an age of technological and social change, "No tool is omnicompetent." Honestly, I hadn't heard that word before, but I love it.
I love that.
And it really gives us the sense of possibility. We've talked about that a lot, I think, in our episodes, where students can take the specialization that has defined them in many ways from the time they were small children sometimes, because our young artists really started specializing long ago, long before they get to college. And then how do they open up their minds to areas like business, like understanding what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to look at career options in their lives, which may well be being on the stage dancing, being on television, and those kinds of careers, but also what it means to be behind the camera, perhaps, being producers, lighting designers, in addition to performers, and even entertainment lawyers, all kinds of opportunities that are going to be discussed today to run performing arts centers and the like. How do you see that, Lewis?
Nancy, there's so many jobs in the arts that sometimes we think artists, we have a romanticized view of the tortured poor artist, but there are so many opportunities, and I find that our young students are so inventive. And when they're emboldened with skills, the world is an oyster for them to just really take over. And I'm reminded last summer, there was a dance conference where I was addressing a large group of dance teachers. And what I told them is that the skills that they teach a dancer, performance, working with others, working well under pressure, team building, working as a soloist, but also working in ensemble. All of those skills are also the skills that Fortune 500 companies look for in their top executives. So that as teachers, we're not only teaching students to do one thing, we're actually in the arts emboldening them to be creative, to do everything. And Nancy, I know that you also share that kind of passion and that kind of vision for the arts transforming the world.
I do. Lewis, I really think that the reason we started UNLV Arts Worldwide was really to convey that our arts are essential to our society. And we do believe, and it's in our mission statement, that our young artists who are graduating, both undergraduates and graduates from our college, are going to go out and transform the world. That's what we wish for them, to make the kinds of contributions where they feel they matter, and that they're making, we've talked about making meaning, that they're making meaning. And I think this episode really speaks to that, because we see examples of people in the arts doing all kinds of wonderful work to help society enjoy the experience of the arts in an essential way.
Yeah. And Nancy, I loved your statement early on in our series that the arts are an essential service. And
Well, I think we feel that deeply. I do, both you and I, and we like to share that with the people around the world who are watching today.
absolutely.
Hello, everyone who's with us today. I always say morning, afternoon, or evening, no matter where you're coming from in the world. I'm so delighted as we continue to talk about this rich subject of the business of the arts to welcome two really distinguished guests. Louis Kavouras and I will be asking questions and having a wonderful conversation with Myron Martin, who is currently the president and CEO of the Smith Center, an incredible cultural center in Las Vegas, and Lori Cobo, our very own, a part of the College of Fine Arts at UNLV, who serves as executive director of PAC, which is the Performing Arts Center. Let me extend to both of you a warm welcome. We're so delighted to have you both today to have this conversation.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Nancy and I deal with so many young artists who are just dreaming of a career in the arts. As two people who manage the business side of it so well and teach the business side of it, what are some of the most important things a young artist can know about business in the arts?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So fair warning to everyone listening. We're going to spend the next 82 days answering Louis's question. So please.
Maybe it's a course.
I don't know if there's a good short answer, but Louis, I'll share this. I love teaching a class at UNLV that's in the College of Business, and it's an entertainment marketing class.
Oh, fantastic.
And so I always share with my students there that it's important that even artists think about what they do as a product. And I know that sounds, like, oh no, I'm not a product, I'm an artist. But if you think like a business person or a marketer, since you use that term, you have to make sure that what you're putting on stage and how you're presenting it is something that people will buy a ticket for, right? So that artistic experience is good, but you have to sell it in a way that will encourage people to buy a ticket and come and see it. So product and the place. We always want to make sure our venues, whether the Smith Center or Ham Hall, are inviting and they're the kind of places that people want to come back to. Price. Lori and I both spend a lot of time thinking about, how much should these tickets cost?
And I think the other thing that you have to throw in there too, and I know Myron will agree, is you have to make sure that you are protecting that art that you are creating. So contracting and learning, the university has a full year, 2 great semesters of entertainment law that are valuable to students. It's important to understand copyright protection and what trademarks mean and what basic contract language is. Those things are all important to make sure that the work that you're creating as an artist will be protected, and that you reserve your rights, that that is your work, and you reserve that property as yours.
Great points. Thank you so much. You know, when Louis and I have been conceiving of different themes for this time and this program, inevitably the pandemic comes up, not surprisingly. So we were interested in knowing, what about art making during the pandemic? Both of you really champion and are leaders in developing live performance, which is now temporarily, whatever that may mean, absent and postponed. How are you navigating your lives, the thinking you're doing about the current crisis and the challenges and opportunities that might present themselves for the future?
Go ahead, Laurie.
Gee, thanks. Well, I mean, being sitting on a university campus and having such a prestigious college like we have with the fine arts, we're very fortunate in the fact that we can do, and we're looking at doing for the fall semester, some virtual performances without audiences that will be allowed to share to our community worldwide. So we're really excited about those opportunities as we move forward into the academic school year. The other thing is, obviously, we have reached out to our artists just as the Smith Center has, and we've done interviews and posted videos and conversations with some of those artists to keep us moving forward. You know, it's devastating to read in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, or the New York Times, it's probably in both, about Broadway now being closed until 2021. So we know that this is going to have a sustaining impact for quite some time. So we do need to reinvent ourselves somewhat as we move forward and look at possibilities as to what we can do. I know Myron has stated in articles and press conferences that he's done that, you know, opening up a house and trying to sell 20 or 30% of what our capacity is, if you're bringing in outside artists, is just not financially feasible. So unless there is some great angel out there, which we all are looking for every day, that bringing those types of big events in is probably going to have to wait for some period of time.
Yeah, that's true. And I think different venues have different circumstances and certainly different motivation to do things during this kind of interim period, the dark period, as I keep calling it. You know, you guys at the university have many opportunities to share things, not unlike today's Zoom, that help to keep people informed and to educate and to motivate and to entertain. And I think that's a wonderful thing for the university to do. We at the Smith Center are known for live performance. And so we've opted not to do a lot of kind of Facebook Live kinds of performances, just as a way to give, you know, a small audience the chance to hear an artist that just misses, you know, having fans around. So we've not done much of that. We probably won't for many reasons, including, you know, so many of these people want to come in and do a live performance without an audience in one of our venues. And we've opted not to do it because that still takes a crew. It still means security and housekeeping, and other people have to come in. And it means that people are getting close. And we're just trying to take the most conservative path we can in order to protect our employees and our stagehands and everyone who is a part of the Smith Center team, as well as our visitors who want to come. So we're not doing those kinds of performances. We've turned down, as you know, we've done a number of national television shows from the Smith Center. We've even turned down some opportunities for big national television during this period because we need to be consistent, and we believe that the right thing to do for our people is to keep them safe.
That's so principled and
Yeah.
fair. It's very interesting to hear your perspectives about this. I think that it will give our audience a chance to reflect on how people are coping with this time and what is really in the best interest of society, so that when we do come back, we'll be ready, whatever the decision is about individual venues and thought leaders such as yourselves. I just want to say we appreciate you both so much.
Hello, welcome to UNLV Arts Worldwide. I am Jennifer Vaughan, Communications Director for the College of Fine Arts at UNLV, joined by some very special guests today who we are all used to being behind the camera. Today, we're in front of the camera. I am joined by Michelle Madole, who's Vice President of Communications and Development for the Las Vegas Philharmonic, and Jen Cratchwell, Director of Public Relations for Nevada Ballet Theater, and our wonderful Shahab Zargari, Communications Coordinator at the UNLV College of Fine Arts. Yay. So I would like to give our wonderful special guests a minute to talk about what it is you do and your main roles. And Michelle, we'll start with you.
Great. Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm pleased to be here and in such good company. I am the Vice President of Communications and Development for the Las Vegas Philharmonic, as you mentioned. So what that entails is basically all messaging, communications, public relations is a big part of the job. The marketing messaging, working on branding, and then I also straddle development, which, as we know, is the fundraising side of the business and a very vital part of any nonprofit organization, and certainly an interesting place to be in an performing arts organization.
Thanks for having me. I'm Jen Cratchwell. I'm the Director of Public Relations for Nevada Ballet Theater. I'm the Communications Manager, the spokesperson. I interface with each department in charge of organizational messaging and making sure that we're consistent as an organization.
So aside from editing these wonderful UNLV Arts Worldwide episodes, I essentially take the fruits of Jennifer Vaughan's labor, all of the PR work that she does, and I am the blowhorn. So social, video, content creation for the college. And so it's a team that,
yes,
we do a lot. And it's funny that all of us seem to wear many different hats, and I think that just comes with the territory.
You must be reimagining your upcoming seasons as we're reimagining our upcoming school years. What does that look like for you right now? What are those conversations like? Anyone take it?
I'll go. They're actually I find these conversations really fun and energizing, because as a team and as a group, what we're doing now as part of trying to reimagine how we can, continue to serve the community with music and culture and education, it's sort of taken the constraints off of our ability to dream, because we're not moving forward in the normal way with the expectations that, everybody's gotten used to. That, in a way, is like the shackles come off. You can really dream and dream big. And I find those conversations that we're having some great conversations about really off-the-wall ideas and partnerships and collaborations. And to me, it's sort of inspiring. I look for the silver lining in the situation. And I think in this situation, the silver lining might be that we've been given an opportunity to dream bigger than we would have, and to sort of get out of the silo we've been in.
Yeah, we're looking at technology in a whole new way. I mean, it supported the art form of dance, and we wanted to do more with it. But now we're relying on it in a way that we never did before. Now that's all we have right now. We only have the virtual connection. We don't have the in-person anymore, or at least for the foreseeable future, until things change a little bit with the pandemic. So in the whole way we've looked at it has changed. It's been a really interesting process. And to Michelle's point, the discussions we've been having as a staff, and just looking at our art form in a whole new way, how we can continue to share it, because that's still our mission, is sharing it with the widest possible audience. And we want to do that, but it's different now.
we've started doing some live stream things. I'm sure the two of you have. Have they been successful? Have you done anything like that?
Well, we haven't done a concert live stream. What we have done is a recital with a violinist and an accompanist. And we did that via Zoom
Was it well
with a
received?
special invite. It was. We
Nice.
sent it to some donors and patrons and supporters, and we had a pretty good attendance for that, and it was a beautiful recital. She was in the Ukraine at the time,
Wow.
coming to us from the Ukraine, which was fantastic and interesting, and something that wouldn't normally have happened under business as usual. So we had a
No
great
plane
response
ticket
to
needed.
that. No plane
Right.
ticket needed. And then the weekly Facebook Live shows that we're doing with Donato Cabrera.
Which thank
I've
you
been
for
really
having Dean
Yes,
Usher on
Usher
there.
was the guest on Donato's show. Yes.
He was so great as a guest too, by the way. The university is so blessed to have Nancy Usher.
Thank you.
Wonderful guest.
Thank you.
But we're doing those kind of things. And, you know, the engagement is there for that digital audience. But it's, you know, sort of educating and giving a comfort level to the audience who hasn't become that savvy yet, and making sure that they know they still have access to this. It just requires a little bit of technology now.
Speaking for myself, the College of Fine Arts, I have found it to be more important than ever during this time to try to nurture my media relationships, because we don't, well, this is summertime, so it's a slow performance time anyway, as compared to our fall and spring semesters. But I still want to be, I want our college to be top of mind. I want us to be arts and entertainment top of mind. So I have found that even through this platform, through our newsletter platform, through one-on-one communication, that my media relationships need a little more attention, I suppose, because it's not as natural a fit right now with everything that is going on. What would you say to that? What do you think about that? Either of you.
I think it's important. I agree to not lose that. It's easy to lose that because there's so much we're doing internally.
There's so much behind the scenes that has to get done.
Exactly. So the outreach in the sense that we were doing before is not happening at the moment. So, you know, I spent one day where I was just kind of touching base and I wasn't necessarily pitching anything, but it's just sort of keeping front of mind. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts on that, Michelle?
The old adage about PR is really founded on relationships and, you know, the time and the effort and the energy that you've invested in them. And, you know, I think we're all sort of sowing the fruits of that now because we have the ability to just check in with them when we don't have something particular to pitch. And, you know, to Jen's sensitivity issue, they're all in a different boat right now. They're not writing for they're not writing at the pace that they were. They're not covering all the beats that they were covering before. So you have to be sensitive to sort of what they're going through and what they're having to shift in their own work world and maybe taking on additional assignments.
Excellent.
And just be sensitive to that and know that, you know, they know you're there and, you know, appreciate you reaching out, and you don't always have to reach out just because you're looking for, you know, a story.
Right.
I think this is a good reminder of the basics of what PR is really founded on. And I think they appreciate that you contact them not only when you have a story you're trying to get them to do, but to continue to nurture the relationship and respect their position across the table and what they're working on. And, you know, not all stories are as timely as, you know, the PR person might think that they are in today's climate. So you've got to be aware of that.
we're at the end of our episode. Nancy, wasn't it a fantastic episode?
It was, Louis. I think, like always, we have so much to reflect upon, ideas that our guests brought up. And, you and I are always very interested in how our guests, leaders in the arts, have dealt with this unusual crisis that we're in now, the pandemic. It was interesting, wasn't it, to hear some ideas about and some perspectives about how people are thinking about this time and what we're going to bring back to our society, ideas and opportunities and knowledge about how to cope in a crisis after, when we do get back to whatever normal will be. Isn't that your sense as well?
Yeah, Nancy, I was so touched by these performing arts centers and organizations and how they foster the artist and the work and how the teams they build so that the art can bring an audience in so that it can encounter, those worlds can encounter each other. But I was really touched by the care at this time to protect the artist and protect the individuals who work around the art too. So that was quite moving to me at this time.
I totally agree. It speaks to the values and the integrity of these wonderful leaders who are entrusted with so much responsibility, but they really are putting safety and security first. And they're caring so much about the lives that have been interrupted, the art makers who are not working right now and who are having a hard time, given that all of the venues where they would be performing, which would include cruise ships and Disney World and all the rest of it, these entertainers are very used to having these, rich lives where they travel. And all of that, for understandable reasons, has shifted. The ground underneath us has shifted. And to see, I agree with you, to see the caring of the leaders who are, entrusted with these responsibilities and how they speak about their colleagues is indeed moving.
It's so moving. And I think they also realize just how desperate all of us are for live performance and to get back to these essential things, but also to get back to them in a really safe way and in a very safe world.
Yes. And at the same time, we are learning how to cope and probably have more skills now than we had a few months ago. And you and I have always been pondering, the education that we offer to our students. And this will also it's a hard time for higher education as well, but it will also teach our students about being artists during crisis. And I hope some very, very good learnings come out of that as well.
Absolutely. And some probably amazing art, even if it's virtual.
Yes. Art within constraints, a very interesting topic unto itself.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is UNLV Arts Worldwide. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Louis.
From Las Vegas to the world. Let's look at
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Be well.